Coming to you from Final Third Cigar and Whiskey Lounge in Ingalls, Indiana, Indiana's exclusive Aladino Cigar Lounge. It's Final Third Friday.
I don't remember or recall every wind, but like the north wind, I know brought in hurricane season.
Okay, this is good stuff for the show, so let's wait. Let's get
Okay.
started.
All right.
This will be good stuff.
Yeah. And I love to repeat myself. So
Okay, that's great.
No, that's good stuff for the podcast.
Check one, check
Yeah,
two.
the closer you get to the microphone, is the better off we are.
Yeah.
So it's the opposite. So when I was on a CB, you wanted to keep it back.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you were like this, you were like a Reezer, you couldn't understand what the hell they were.
No, this will just make your voice deeper.
Yeah, it does.
Ooh,
It
really?
does, yeah.
Yep.
Like Barry White.
Yes. All right, well, welcome back to Final Third Friday. I'm Rob.
I'm Isaiah, and we've got a special guest with us.
Brad Barton with La Galera Cigars.
Yeah, so today we're having an event with Brad, selling cigars, doing some giveaways, and today we decided to pair up a couple of his cigars. We've got the Seppo.
Yeah.
I'll say it
Yep,
the
yep,
way
yep.
you say it now.
Yep.
The Seppo, the La Galera Connecticut Seppo. It's a nice little small Connecticut. We've had it for a long time in here, and we sell it really well. But it's a really great way to start your day. And then this one here, I'll have you explain it.
The La Instructora box press. So it's a Brazilian Cubra wrapper.
Ooh.
And this is the number 4.
Number
So
4.
in the box press, we start with number 1 and go to number 5, 5 being the Toro size, 1 being the Churchill or A size.
Yeah, and if you know our lineup of La Galeras, we don't have this in stock right now, but by the time this show airs, we will have this cigar, not this size, but this cigar in stock.
Correct.
We're just smoking the smaller one so we don't take up 3 hours on the show.
Yeah.
Totally.
And then today we're actually going to be doing a little double pairing.
Yeah.
The Heaven Hill Bottle and Bond, this is the 7-year that we have on the bar here. We're going to be pairing that one, and then we also have another bottle.
We have its predecessor, thanks to Brad. They don't even make this anymore. The 6-year bottled and bond. This was a budget pour.
Yeah.
And then everybody caught on to it, so they decided to make it allocated, throw it up a year, and raise it
times the price.
raise it $40.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep.
I'm excited. I have actually never tried the 6-year bottle and bond.
And
Yeah,
that,
thank you for sharing that,
Not
too.
a problem, but that's how it was introduced to me.
Yeah.
So, yes, I like to have the best for whatever price.
Yeah.
And then I always like to try in that distillery the best for the lowest price, which that happened to be at the time.
Yeah.
But when I tried everything else, that was actually my favorite.
Wow.
Nice.
And I'm a bourbon novice. I'm not like these two guys, bourbon aficionados.
We've had some fun times.
Oh my goodness. Amazing times. Yeah.
You like good bourbon.
I do.
We know you.
I do.
Well, why don't we start with
You want
the
to
first
start with
one,
the 6-year?
and then we'll jump into the one we have on the bar. So we'll do this one with the Seppo, and then we'll do this one with the La Instructora. Is that how you do it?
Yeah.
Instructora? Okay.
Yep. La Instructora. So
Okay, I'll remember
the
that.
story behind that was Hochi, when he was younger, was his father was friends with the Rabano family, and
Thanks, buddy.
they ended up. He went there as a younger man and learned how to roll the Cuban way or Cuban method.
Which that's called into bar.
Yeah,
correct?
into
Okay.
bar. Yep. So when he came back to the Dominican, he would go around to the factories, and if they were interested in learning that way, he would teach them. So for that reason, they used to call him instructor, the instructor. So a friend of mine helped him blend this, and after they finished it up, the gentleman's like, Hochi, what are we going to name this? He's like, I don't know. So the gentleman had heard the story about Ho Chi going to Cuba to do this.
Yeah.
So he said, well, how about we call it La Instructora as tribute to your younger man's stories, which
I love it.
it is.
That's awesome.
Because in the La Instructora line, we have the box pressed, which is the Brazilian Cubra. And then we have, and it's a black and white band.
Yeah.
We have a Perfeccion line, which is a Habano Rosado. We'll have that here at Final Third soon.
Cool.
And then that has like a red and black and blue and yellow Jackson Pollock.
Oh,
type.
okay. Yeah.
And then they have an all yellow band that's a U.S. Connecticut.
Interesting.
And it is because it's a milder cigar, but tons of flavor. And I think that's embarking on that U.S. Connecticut. Yeah, I'm going to do a cold draw.
Yeah.
Cold draw. It's like frosted mini wheats.
Yeah.
It's like just
I was
Yeah.
I was almost gonna say Frosted Flakes almost.
And really,
Not quite
this
as
is a
sweet.
38 gauge, so it's like a mini Lancero we get to smoke.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's something I always like to show at events like today. So, the Gordo or 660 is a fairly popular size, and I think we as Americans perceive value.
Right.
So, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you've done Gordos for 20 years, who in
Yeah.
the hell is Brad Barden to tell you're doing something wrong? It's not my place.
Right.
Do what you enjoy.
Yeah.
But what I do want to, some people are like, well, I'm a big guy. I look like I'm smoking a toothpick. It doesn't matter. And that's the beauty of the
Oh, yeah.
cigar world. It doesn't matter what you look like. It matters how you enjoy stuff.
Totally.
And it's all about the experience. And for me, I use a Gordo because, one, I have a lot of time. Well, there's a lot of cigar there, so that
Yeah.
will abide that time or fixate that
absolutely.
time. But number two, if I get a customer that he knows he smokes fast or he was a cigarette smoker and now is going to a cigar, I'm always going to try to set him up with a Toro or a Gordo, because if you hork on this or smoke this fast,
Yeah.
it's going to char that tongue. And now you're like, oh, my experience isn't as good. Well, then
Exactly.
I don't get to see him again. Well, I want to see people
Oh yeah.
and give them a good experience.
Oh yeah. So Rob and I just lit up on this.
So you go ahead and light
Yeah.
up, and we'll get some notes going here.
So, yeah.
It's like white bread toast for me,
Okay.
and there's a little bit of, I think, nutmeg.
See, I was
Okay.
getting
like
like just a slight bit of a nuttiness, almost like a walnuttiness.
Okay. Yeah, I can
But-
see that.
And just a very, very small hint of pepper on the retrohale.
Yeah.
Not strong, but just enough where you know it's there. Mm-hmm. About you?
So right away, I'm not a guy that gets a ton of notes. I can't describe a cigar like Isaiah here, which is a gift. So good on you. I do get a little bit of that white pepper. In right there. Wow, that was a good puff right there. I got a little bit of creaminess
Yeah.
on the after.
It is a very creamy
It is.
smoke.
Yeah,
like
it is.
this is a perfect. I don't know. It is a great first cigar of the day cigar, and
Yep.
I think the thing that shocks me about this is it still has enough flavor that it can be your last cigar
Oh,
of
yeah.
the day as well.
We've done that before.
Yeah.
We're like last of the night. We don't
Yep.
have a lot of time. We grab one of these. I'm like, dang, this thing still tastes great after 5
Yeah.
cigars we smoked.
but there's a
during the day.
lot of Connecticut's that just disappear.
They
Correct.
do.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And funny you say that because coming up soon will be our PCA trade show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on a daily average, I'm 1 to 3 a day.
Yeah.
At PCA, I'm a 12 a day.
Yeah.
And,
have
and it's
heard
crazy. The last 2 or 3 of the night are this Connecticut.
Yeah.
Whether I'm smoking some industry cigars matched in with us because fellow reps will come by and say hi. Hey, we got this new, and that's neat that we get to share amongst each others. But what I love about this is like Isaiah said, it has enough to hold up,
Yeah.
and there's barely any Ligero. And don't tell anyone, but as I get older, I've become more of a wimp. So, back in flight school, I could drink a pot of coffee and go to bed.
Yeah.
I could, when I was your age, I could smoke 2-3 cigars and go to bed. Now, don't tell anyone, but I'm kind of wimpy. I have to have one of these and wind down.
Yeah.
That's how I roll now.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I'll tell you what. That is a good pour.
Yeah, actually, this
shocked.
this
What we
6-year
got.
bottled and bond, it leans a little bit fruitier than what I remember from the 7-year.
Real sweet.
It's not as
It feels lighter on the palate too, which is not a knock on it.
No.
But that sweetness kind of pops out a lot more in this one. Well, we'll find out in a minute. Going
Yep.
back and forth. But
yeah.
And I will say, hanging out with you guys, I have found, as I develop, I was, when I first was a bourbon guy, my dad weaned me on my bottle on Jim Beam and Coke.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I thought bourbon was.
yeah.
And then I started just to do like Woodford. I used to love Woodford because it's nice and smooth. Well, then I hang out with bourbon geeks, and I find out I like bottled and bond 100 proof or hotter. And I used to think, well, it's going to burn. No, not. It's just like a cigar.
yeah.
They're not all the same.
Not exactly.
And thank you
Yeah.
guys for opening my mind and experiencing something that
Oh,
I
you-
now love.
You don't have to thank us. We just love
Yeah.
we love trapping more people into it. Like-
Well, and you are right though, because
So
I mean,
biased.
the difference is, you take a 80 proof bourbon.
Yeah.
And the cheap bourbons, those are made for shots at the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can shoot an 80 proofer. Yeah, it might get you a little bit.
Yeah.
You shoot this, you're going to knock yourself down. So you
Correct.
actually have to sit down and slow down and
Yeah.
sip it and actually taste it. And I
Yep.
think that's why people
Yep.
get into bourbon.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, and the other thing is you talk about kind of the age statements on product, and that plays a heavy role in how much the proof of it shines through. You get a higher age product, typically you don't notice as much of the ethanol alcohol burn as you would on something younger. Like I always think about just regular old Elijah Craig. I think it's 92 proof.
4.
94?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
It drinks hotter than a lot of 100 proofers, like
Yes.
than a lot of bottled and bonds. And it's just because of what they blend in it, you know?
Yeah.
Speaking of Elijah Craig, this is a little bit of whiskey news, but I read it this morning, so I figure we'll share.
Yeah.
Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is starting to add age statements on the bottles. And the next one to come out is under 12 years. So that it's kind of a sad thing.
'Cause that's what ours is.
Oh,
Yeah. So Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is so they're starting to add age statements. In the past, they've all been 12-year plus. But now with the new releases, I think it's starting with the B523. It'll be different.
Okay.
And actually, they said the C923 is a 13-year. So like,
Oh.
I think they're giving you. I think they said the B523 is an 8-year, and then the C923 is a 13-year. So like, it's kind of weird, man.
That's kind of weird, but that'd be kind of fun to have
Oh,
bottles and just
yeah.
see what age does to
part
the
of
product.
me is sad about it because it's like, I mean, it just gives you an excuse to like use younger whiskey, but like a 13-year, like an age-stated 13-year, like kind of gets me a little bit more excited
It
than
also
just a
makes me-
C923.
Well,
you
it
know?
makes me also wonder if when they get to those higher age statements, if those bottles are going to be 20, 30 bucks more than the other ones, or are they going to keep the same price point that they always have for Elijah Craig Barrel?
I mean, yeah,
I hope they
and it's a
keep-
valid
Yeah, so
concern.
do I.
Keep it. That'll be probably one of the best 13-year bottles you could buy on the market.
But I think Heaven Hill's just watching the market and realizing people really want transparency over anything with whiskey, and the more information you can put out about it on the bottle, is the higher likelihood of you selling it quickly. Granted, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is not a hard sell as it is, but I think it just is I think it's partially a great move for them. But
Oh, yeah.
I am a little bit sad for things to just be under 12 years.
Yeah.
But it also would confirm my theory about what's happening to half of those barrels that are entering the single barrel program.
Yeah, so we picked a barrel a couple weeks ago with Elijah Craig, or Heaven Hill, and it's a little over 10 years now. When we get it, it'll be like 10 and a half to 10 and
3/4,
9
yeah.
months, whatever.
Yeah.
And so it'll still say 10 year on the bottle, but we're gonna get 120 bottles.
Awesome.
So his theory is, what the hell happened with the rest of them?
Yeah.
So I bet you're right. They're using that to blend.
I mean, you're
things
probably taking 40 to 60 bottles worth of.
maybe Sylvia's taking those home because
Hey,
she was
honestly,
sipping with us. She know how
good
it
for
was.
her.
Good for her.
Yeah, good for
We're good with
Zoe.
that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
She's cool.
And that's
Yeah.
what I love about you guys. You don't mind sharing.
No.
No, it's just a couple less bottles that we have to buy.
Yeah.
So I did not bring the card out. The blend on this.
So Dominican T112, that's what embarks. It's a Dominican hybrid,
Okay.
and that's what embarks the white pepper in here.
Okay.
We have Piloto Cubano in all of our cigars.
Right.
It's aged a little bit more, 3+ years. And that's how, as a brand, we're able to be medium-bodied, full flavor.
Yeah.
I was with Jose Manuel, or Hochito, Hochi's son. We hope to bring him out fairly soon as the face of the brand here.
Yeah,
in the
we'd love to
US.
have him come out
Oh,
here
it
and
would be
hang out.
great.
Wait,
That'd be great.
real quick.
Yeah,
I'm interrupting
yeah,
you.
that's fine.
Give these people a rundown. Who's behind La Galera?
Yeah.
Where it
yeah,
started.
yeah.
So, because you're talking about Hochi,
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
these
yeah.
people might
Like,
not even
no.
know the name.
Yeah. Well, and that's true though, because Hochi, I describe him as the Wizard of Oz of the tobacco industry because he's such a modest guy, and his comfort zone is in that factory and in the fields. So our agronomist, Mickey, was his childhood friend. Went to school to be an agronomist. We send our soil samples to Georgia Tech, get back information. Mickey has a plan for each field. We have about, I believe, 4 fields, and it's in hectares, so it's real close to 1,000 acres. We're one of the largest private growers of tobacco in the Dominican. We share crop with, I believe it's 43 farms, where Mickey goes out, and Jose Manuel, as a young man, would go out and help Mickey do these. So he's learning from the ground up like his father, which impresses me.
Yeah. So, okay, real quick question. So when did Hochi start in the tobacco industry, whether it be farming, whatever?
Yeah. Went as a small child. Yep.
Okay, so
He
I'm
has
not sure how
brothers
old he
and
is.
stuff.
So, I mean, would that be
he's-
like back in the
So
40s, 50s, 60s?
he is
40s?
63, I think.
Okay,
is how old he
so
is.
probably in the 60s, 70s, in that range.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
Always been around it. It's definitely his passion.
Yeah.
I mean,
So really, it was during that time when the embargo hit.
yes.
So that's kind of when. Did he start in Cuba, his family, or
No,
was he always
they're
a
actually,
Dominican?
I believe they're from Spain.
Okay.
And they migrated to the Dominican. I believe his father's father started the tobacco growing and brokership. Tabacalera Palma our factory started in 1936.
Okay.
Hochi is involved in the Dominican government too, and helping people procure free zones and stuff like that. And obviously, free zones is where all the cigars and cigar factories are. But you can just see, like, he enjoys meeting people because he wants. And the beauty is while he is a great businessman, his first thing is Brad, how do they like my tobacco? Right. How do they like the cigars?
Yeah.
When I phone interviewed with him, I felt like I insulted him right off the bat by saying, do we ever use dyes and enhancers? I remember working at a shop when the Partagas Black came out, and my fingers were black and my lips were black.
Oh yeah.
And he paused for a second, and he's like, Brad, if my cigar has great tobacco, and it's constructed properly. When I take a puff, you're going to get a lot of smoke. Smoke equals flavor.
Yeah.
If it's a little ugly and embarks a amazing experience and flavor to you,
Who cares?
I'm okay with that.
Yep.
And that's something, I hate to say it, us gringos Americanize things, and we want things to be pretty and stuff like that. And,
Yeah.
they don't always have to be. It's all about, to me, the experience.
Yep. I
And-
agree.
And I will say I'm impressed, and I've been with the company 8 years. I was their first in-house rep. That I've only had, and I'm sure we've had some plug cigars. It's just going to happen. It's a handmade agricultural product.
Sure.
But no one's ever said anything to me.
Yeah.
And I had a shop in Blue Springs, Missouri. And they brought in all of our line, and they love these little smokes because being in a shop, you don't have time for a Churchill or a Gordo.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get to enjoy
Unless
a
it's
little
that year of the ox. That year of the ox, you can set it down for 10 minutes and pick it back up.
isn't that awesome?
It's
You really
crazy.
can.
bit, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I mean, that's an exaggeration, but like,
yeah,
it's pretty
I've
close.
seen it happen.
Yeah. Yep. And that's what I love
Yeah.
is that particular shop said, he said, I'm on the phone with him. He's like, Brad, I hate you. And I just start giggling because he's just an awesome guy.
Yeah.
He's like, since I brought you guys into the shop, that's my shift cigar all the time.
Yeah.
And he said, out of all the ones that I've smoked, like one had a firm draw, but it was very smokable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's an honor.
Yeah.
And that's
It's
a
amazing.
true testament. I asked Ho-Chi, do we draw a test or do anything like that? And he said, well, if I have to check them like that, then I need all new rollers and stuff like that.
Sure.
And he really treats his people well. That
Good.
always impressed me of Ho-Chi. He takes care
That
of
is
his
good.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
well loved.
with you saying that you use the Piloto
Yes.
Cubano and everything.
Yep.
Um,
Every cigar
I know
we have.
we have a lot of people that have come in here and they try one. They're like, oh my gosh, I love this. And they try through the line. They're like, I like all these cigars. That may be the reason why is because they have that consistent note you get out of that, even
Yep.
though the flavors change based on Habano, Maduro,
Yes.
Cameroon.
Yep. And one of the effects of aged out Piloto is it moistens your palate.
Which is, I
Huge.
love that.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
yes.
now you get to taste all these nuances that you guys were talking about.
Yeah.
It's in all those taste buds, even
Yes.
more with the
Yep.
salivation.
Yes. Well, and that's a lot of complaints in over the years in America. We've gone, up and down as far as super strong. When I first got into cigars, by far the super mild stuff was the most popular.
Oh, yeah.
Well, then all of a sudden we started getting,
The
in your
LFD
face.
digger.
Yes, yeah, lots of Lajero.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one thing neat going with Jose Manuel. He said all of our Lajero is 7 years old. So now you've lost that slap in the face
Yeah.
of the heaviness. Now, and again,
There still can be
you-
full
if
body,
you like,
yeah.
yes, if you like that, there's plenty out there to do that. We have some stuff in the works. I've seen some artwork that'll probably be a little stronger than what we've
good.
offered. But I think Ho-Chi wanted that for the Connecticut, the Habano, the Maduro, and that box press. Well, and now the Imperial Jade to be the
Yeah.
core. So now that we have a core,
Yeah.
we're going to build that part of our brand. And now we get to do the special things like you guys were able to get those Year of the Ox.
Yeah.
Super limited.
Yeah.
The 85th anniversary. So Ho-Chi, it was the whole purpose of the 85th was to pay homage to your father. So Ho-Chi brought out his dad's blending notes. That Connecticut is so weird because I would say it's 100% mild with a ton of flavor.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I
not
call
supposed to happen.
I call it a medium because,
Okay.
you're going to get a mild strength level, but
Yep.
you're going to get a ton of body.
Yes.
And I think that I like calling it more of a medium because
Okay.
people perceive sometimes flavor with
Yes,
strength.
strength, yeah.
And even though it doesn't have it, the
Yeah.
perceived portion of that can really screw with your brain.
Exactly. And that's
but it's
why
still a mild cigar.
Yeah, and that's how I preface when I say strength. To me, strength has to do with that Lajero punch.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then the flavor, and that's what I like you
That's
said.
why I say body.
It's
Yep.
so or body, yeah, is so intense.
And that's something good to talk about for people that don't know.
Yeah.
You know, when you hear people talk about body, 90% of the time you hear people talk about, they're talking about strength. They're not really talking about the flavor.
Correct.
But there's really two different things. Body is really the fullness of the smoke, the
Yes.
flavors you get out of all the things that make it complex.
Yep.
Strength is just strength of nicotine.
Yep.
Two different animals. So,
Yep.
you know, when you have, like we have on our cards in there, the body on it, we have a meter on there. I usually kind of balance out strength and flavor. So that because one will be in there, it says it's a medium full, but it's really a milder strength level. It's just
Correct.
got a ton of flavor.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yep.
trying to balance that out. And it's, you know, you have to
But-
explain that to everybody because most
Yes.
people don't know that.
And I want to thank you guys for doing that. One of my favorite parts about this is you guys are cigar geeks, but you're constantly in the humidor with your people. You're explaining that. As
Yeah.
we educate our consumers, they become better smokers.
Yeah.
And then they get more people involved because, you know, I had a doctor as a customer when I worked at a shop.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Doc, I know you're a cigar smoker, so take that hat off. Now put on your doctor's hat. How bad are these? He said, Brad, what's in a cigar? Tobacco, sunlight, and water. There's not 20 pages of chemicals like a nicotine delivery stick, like a cigarette or
Yeah.
a vape. So he says, we don't habitually inhale. I live up in Midland, Michigan, so it's the corporate headquarters of Dow Chemical. Tons of middle management. You better get a month's worth of work done in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, they're stressing people out. So they would come down to a shop like this.
Yeah.
I would set them up, or you would set them up with a nice cigar. You know, look at that selection of bourbon and cold libations. So he said by the time he takes his first puff, he's just melted down 40 points off his blood pressure.
Yeah.
He said, you know, 1 to 5 of these, and I thought 5 was excessive, but that's the doctor's. A heart surgeon said this.
Yeah.
1 to 5 of these a day will keep him away.
Yeah.
Because now, you know, what's one of your favorite, you know, you hear a customer, and I get to come see Isaiah, Rob, they pick me out a great stick, and for an hour and a half, 2 hours, however much time they divvy out for this, they just relax and they don't have to worry
Yep.
about the
Yeah.
BS of life.
Oh yeah.
And you're right. I mean, stress is the number one killer in this country.
Easy.
So I'm with you, man. I think
Yeah.
I honestly I tell people all the time, and a lot of people looking at me weird, but I'm like, these things are medicinal.
Yes, they are. Yep.
And I think if more people smoke cigars, we'd have a lot less headaches in the world.
Well, and then you're doing an internal alcohol cleanse here too. So you're cleansing the inside of your body.
Well,
with
that's
with a great
we do
bourbon.
For
For science, yes.
It is for science.
Yes.
Let's take a moment to hear from our partners. Is your closet starting to feel a little weak? You know, like shoddy fabrics, misshaped, tired designs? Then 7 Strong brand has exactly what you need to reinforce your look. We're talking a 4-way stretch of polyester, cotton blend, silky smooth, breathable, and above all, true to fit while keeping its fit. No? But what about our hidden collar button with reinforced stretching? It's pretty strong. Or how about designs that'll get you a standing ovation no matter the occasion? Happy hours to baby showers, the flight to date night, even from the shore to stepping out to the store. 7 Strong brand has button-down shirts that will transition you from one place to the next and make you stand out every single time. And for listening to our show, new customers get $5 off their first purchase with code FINAL3rd. Not to mention, all orders over $50 qualify for free shipping. And you know, just like any label on a bottle or cigar, these shirts are going to be a stamp of quality every time you wear them. So find your strength and style by checking out 7-strong.com, as well as following 7 Strong brand on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Our wonderful new table is brought to you by Deadwood Live. That's D-E-D Wood Live. Go check them out on Facebook and see what Derek can do for you. From bars to tabletops to a giant podcast table, they specialize in making super high quality furniture from live edge woods and reused barrels. So reach out to them on Facebook and see what they can do for you. But you brought up a cool thing. Like when we walk into the humidor, we're always like our regular customers are like, "What's new? What's new?"
Yes.
Yeah.
The Urus, when we got that in,
Yeah.
it took the humidor by a storm.
Oh,
like
it did.
everybody,
And it's still a good
everybody
seller.
who
Yeah.
smoked like medium to full bodied stuff, like that, immediately went into their regular
That's
rotation.
cool.
Yeah.
So you were talking a little bit about the name for that one. Would
yeah,
you be
yeah,
able
yeah.
to tell that?
So
on the show?
what that was is a while back, Ho Chi and the crew in the Dominican came out with this project. And what I love about Ho Chi, while he's a rum guy, makes sense from the
Sure.
Dominican.
Yeah.
Like bourbons should be made the way they were 100 years ago. That's what Ho Chi, that's his mantra. Stuff like that should be done how it was 100 years ago. Well, we didn't have the Weather Channel on our phone. We didn't have TVs. So what did that farmer use to know what weather was coming in? Wind direction. So Anamwa, or Anamwi, I believe a Greek fellow corrected me. And of course, I'm a ninja with language, so I slice it up. He said it's the Greek or the Greek god of wind.
Okay.
So the Anamwa is a little bit different because the wrapper is from a higher cut of the plant, so it embarks a different flavor than the rest of the winds. And I don't know the exact story behind every wind, but like the north wind bring in hurricane weather. Well, we're on the back side of a mountain range. So by the time it comes up and over the mountain range, it's lost most of its pressure. So it's medium winds, real dark and gloomy.
Yeah.
And if it rains by then, it's more of a light rain, which on the north side of that mountain, it's torrential rain.
Yeah.
And a funny thing about tobacco, it doesn't, 4 miles from this shop, we're out in the fields and we see a pivot out there, and it's sprinkling or moisturizing that field like we would our lawn. Well, you don't want to do that with tobacco because there's peach fuzz, and you can literally wash some of the oils off that plant. So when they irrigate a tobacco field, it's to the root.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Don't they also line them up east to west to not get the brunt of the wind?
I believe so,
That's what I
because
thought.
anytime that tobacco plant moves back and forth, it's going to change how that plant grows. So now if it's windy all the time,
Yeah.
The
now
stalks
it's
are
thicker,
really
and
thick, yeah.
and the leaf can get thicker. Well, talk to the guys in the La Galera. So La Galera, the name of our cigar, is the rolling room in where all the magic happens. So every cigar factory has a La Galera. In Ho Chi being a traditionalist, I'm going to name my cigar after the room that makes all the magic happen.
Heck yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
I love it.
So how long has this brand been around? Like,
So, Ho Chi was part of Boutique Blend. So we made cigars for everyone else. All of Aging Room, except for the Nicaragua, was done at our factory.
Yeah.
The AJ Fernandez, San Latano Dominicano,
realize
collaboration with
that.
AJ and Ho Chi. AJ sends us tobacco. It's done at our place. A lot of Villiger stuff, swag. When we bought out Indian Head cigars. So now we have all of Indian Head cigars are made at our factory. And tons of other projects. But Galera came out, the Connecticut and the Habano in 2015. And then by trade show of 2016, the Maduro and the box pressed Habano, which the beauty of that box press, a lot of people will call it a Maduro because it's darker.
Yeah.
It's just a little more Oscaro, and because it's on a 9 cut or a higher priming of the tobacco.
Are you referring to the 1936 we
yes,
have in there?
the 1936.
Because
box
I've
press. Yep.
made that mistake before saying it was a Maduro.
Yeah,
And
yep.
I have to look at it and make sure I'm
Yeah,
saying it right.
yep.
So, yeah.
Yep. And those came out in 2016. Since then, we've came out with the Anamwa series.
yeah.
Back when I first started.
Which Rob and I have been completely botching that.
Yeah?
You got a couple Indiana redneck boys saying Anamoy.
Anamwa, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Again,
I don't think so. I think
they're
we've been calling
ninjas.
Amwa.
They're ninjas
I don't think so,
of words
Rob.
like I am.
That's what I always meant. We always make the mistake of calling that cigar the Urus.
Yeah.
And it
And
is
the
an
Urus
animal.
is the size.
Well, it's or the wind. Yep, it's
Or
the
the
east
wind.
wind.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay,
So you
okay.
can call it that is
Okay.
that particular size, like the Robusto.
Yeah.
We call it the Chivetta. So it is the La Galera Connecticut Chivetta. So that is
Gotcha.
the animal La Galera Animois Urus.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Nice. Nice.
Yep.
Well, and I'll tell you, I mean, I'm just approaching the second, third here. I don't know where you guys are, about the same probably.
Yeah. I'm there. As
This
well.
this cigar stays pretty true. I think
It
it
does.
gives you a little bit more of the little earthiness now.
Yep.
And
I do agree with that.
I feel like the spice level may be kicked up just a little bit.
Yeah.
But not aggressive in any way at all.
Yep.
But it really, you're right. I mean, it keeps your mouth watering
Mm-hmm.
the entire time, which I really love that in a cigar.
Yeah.
This to me is a Swiss Army knife of cigars too, because I can take a new smoker. I won't tell them that there's some white pepper because most new guys are afraid of the word pepper.
Yeah.
But they're like, man, Brad, it has a lot of flavor, but it's still smooth.
Yeah.
But yet I can take guys like you that aren't afraid of a super duper full bodied stick, and you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and the newer cigar smokers typically are not retrohaling anyway.
Correct.
So they're not going to get that as much of that pepper as you will if you
Yep.
blow it through the nose. So
Brad, I got to tell you as well. I'm kind of the band police around here. If the
Yeah.
band doesn't come off cleanly, I'm going to tell people
Yep.
every single one of your cigars.
Yeah,
thumbs
thank you.
off.
Band-
Now I
super
will
great.
say, and I think we're gonna
these are a
go
pain in
away.
the ass. I will say
The-
that.
Are they?
much.
The foot band.
Yeah.
Whatever Dominican Scotch tape is made out of, they must have talked to the Gorilla Glue guys because you cannot peel that off.
Oh, I always just
Slide it.
slip on.
Yep.
Slip
Whenever
it off the end.
whenever you see a foot band, just wiggle it. Sometimes
Yeah.
the cigar has swelled a little, so
Yeah.
it might be tight, but just work it and you can pull it off, and then you don't damage.
And
the-
actually, that's another good point too. Is like if you do have a box of these, and you're really struggling to get it off, you might have your cigars a little over humidified
Yeah.
because they're
Very
going to
true.
swell up on you a little
Yep.
bit. So that's a good way to test that too. Because when they put them on in the factory, they should be at that 60 to 70% humidity the factory's at.
yes.
So
Yep.
yeah,
I got to tell a story about that. So over humidification. So in 2016 was my first ever trade show. I'm nervous as all hell, and I was talking with Ho Chi, and it was great to actually talk to my owner and all this, and I'm just soaking up knowledge. And this guy walks up, and he's got a Galera shirt on, and he's with another guy with a Galera. And I just, because this is, I'm new to the industry. I've smoked cigars, but I didn't know any of the principles. This guy's coming up. Hey, he's a cigar shop owner. So he says, is Ho Chi here? And I look back, and he was just there like 30 seconds ago, but he was gone. So whatever, getting the water or whatever he had to do. And I said, he just left. I'm sure he'll be back soon. Do you know anything about La Galera? And he kind of smiles a little bit, and he's like, no. So I give him my my sales pitch, and I said, well, out of describing those cigars, what one do you think you'd like to try? Can I try the box press? So the trade show is usually in Las Vegas because they will be smoker friendly to us in a convention center where a lot of towns are super anti-smoking. And
fascists.
yes. You've met them. So the cigars were in Miami, which a lot of times in Miami you don't even need a humidor because it's so moist there.
Yeah.
Like the Dominican.
Yep.
And they were boxed up, taken to the desert, and they had been in Vegas for 4 or 5 days, we'll say. And we put them in a closet, and at that time we didn't bring humidification with us. And I pull out a box press for him, and he squeezes it, and he's like, oh, that's a little over humidified. Let me show you a trick. So I ran and got another one, and we lit it. And the first couple puffs almost tasted like the blend, and then all of a sudden it was muddled. And he says, watch this. And he takes his lighter, and he blows out. And then he sets it on the ashtray, and I did the same. And we let it rest for about 30 seconds so it wasn't too hot. And then took a puff. and it tasted exactly like the blend was supposed to. And for about 3 or 4 puffs, and he said, "See, Brad, in a trade show like this, sometimes, hey, stuff happens because we're angering the cigars and shipping and so on. But now you know how to test a cigar and know what it's going to taste like coming off your shelf."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Wow, thank you." And I said, "Well, Hochi's probably going to be back here anytime." He's like, "Hochi did very well by you, Brad." And he took off, and we had one of our brokers, Patrick. He was with the Polar Brother brokership out of Texas. Super great guy. He's like, "Brad, do you know who that was?" I said, "Absolutely not, Patrick." He's like, "That was Arguardo Fernandez, the owner of Arganosa Leaf." I was like,
that's funny.
So here I am putting a sales pitch on a brand owner, and super nice. I mean, he didn't stop me and, say, "Hey, I know more about cigars." Well, he'll forget more about cigars than I know. He let me do my thing. And for that reason, that's another industry cigar I always try to gravitate towards because he was super nice to me.
Yeah.
And I love that he's vertically integrated like we are.
Yeah.
So when you control from seed to your hand, there is a difference in consistency.
Yeah.
Not to say someone who has a boutique blend, it isn't a good cigar. It's a phenomenal cigar.
Well, and that's a good thing to maybe explain is vertical integration. Some people may not understand what that means because that can happen in whiskey. That happens in cigars all the time too.
Yeah.
But vertical integration means you're planting, you're harvesting, you are rolling, fermenting. You're doing all the things till it gets in the box. So you have control over all that. Where a lot of these brands, like you just mentioned, AJ, he may be getting some tobacco from somebody else or having someone else roll it or whatever. Rocky does a lot of that too. A lot of the brands will do that where they don't have control over the tobacco.
Yep.
They ask for what they want.
Yep.
And they get it.
Yep.
But to have control over that,
Correct.
that means you guys can play around with that in the fields and get it to be right where you want it to be. And that's important.
And something us gringos don't understand is it's not tobacco A, tobacco B, tobacco C makes this, because in any given, I believe the growing season's around 90 days, I believe, something like that. So, this year in this tobacco field, all the strong stuff is here. Well, the next growing season, it's over here. Well, it's all the same Criollo 98.
Yeah.
But they have to know just by smelling it, or they'll take a Bic lighter and smell the secondary smoke, and they know, one leaf of this, it used to be 2. And they're constantly changing that blend to give us the same experience. These people are geniuses, really.
Yeah. I mean, that's where the master blenders kick in. That's where your rollers and sorters know what they're doing. So,
well, and that carries over to the whiskey world too, because we kind of make a joke on here, like, rednecks in the woods have been making whiskey and moonshine forever. Anyone can distill, but man, those guys that can blend, it's an art. It really is. Like, even think about Jack Daniels. You have thousands and thousands of barrels being dumped into a vat to create the same old number 7 you bought 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well,
It
you got to try it yesterday. The new Sweetens Cove 22.
Yeah.
Marianne Eves is an amazing
Killed
blender.
that.
And that is the best thing Sweetens Cove's ever put out.
Yeah.
It's a $high $bottle, but it's really, really good.
There's value in it.
I think it's one of the most interesting things to come out this year too.
Yeah.
Like,
so too.
definitely challenging the status quo of what a bourbon can be.
Tam will agree with you because she killed a lot of that bottle with me that night too. And she doesn't drink a lot of bourbon.
Oh yeah. So you worked at a cigar shop before this.
Yep.
Who gave you the idea for how you're carrying your cigars and storing them? We have bragged about you just for that on this show more times than anybody else, because there are so many people that show up with cigars in backpacks or cigars from the trunk of their car.
Yeah, and I will say it's probably 1 in 10 that actually takes care of them like you do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe if that, maybe.
Was this just something like, was this something you saw or something you were like, I'm going to do it better than them?
Yes, it was the latter, because I was frustrated. They would come out, a great brand. They would come out with a new cigar, and they would pitch it to me. And I'm like, well, I want to try it. So, let me go get some out of my trunk stock.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just like,
No, these are
term.
yeah, these are literally bundles sitting in a trunk.
in
of
a
somebody.
trunk.
Yeah.
And it was summertime in Michigan, so it had to be 120 degrees in that trunk.
Yeah.
And he hands it to me, and I can feel how hot the cigar is. I'm like, hey, thanks. And I put it in our humidor for about a month, so I knew that maybe I could unanger the cigar to taste, like Aguardo said, what it was supposed to taste like.
Yeah.
And it was frustrating. And I thought, hey, Galera is new to the market. I better take care of my stuff to showcase the quality of tobacco that Hochi gives to his customers.
Yeah.
And yes, it has worked. I mean, I catch a little, guff because I've got it's a Arctic cooler bag.
Yeah.
But it seals. So now
it's amazing.
Oh, it's perfect.
yeah, a Boveda 320 gram, and I have to change it maybe once a year because it seals so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get to taste the blend right off the, you brought us in after I sat with you.
Oh, yeah.
And we smoked
Well, I
a bunch
remember
of
that
cigars.
day.
Yeah.
We sat at this table and you just were pulling stuff out of that cooler. And first of all, like when you showed up, I was like, "Who the heck is this guy?"
Yeah.
Like, because you never know. You never know who's showing up with what. But I don't think either of us had heard of La Galera.
Nope.
No, I'd never smoked any of your stuff, and I don't know why. I mean, you've been around for a long time,
But
so it's kind of
we both sat there and we were like,
Yep.
"These are fantastic." I think we smoked all the way through your core line
Yes.
Yeah.
that day, and we were like,
Yes, please.
"Yeah."
And then we finished a lot of bourbon that night.
Yes, we did. And that is why this will always be my final stop of the night.
My man.
Because I have had so much fun. And
Okay.
thank you
Yeah.
guys. Because again, I know a little bit about cigars, barely anything about bourbon other than I like what you guys have given me.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you.
Well, and if you saw this 10 years ago,
Yeah.
people would go, whatever.
Yeah.
But to bring that out now, that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
You brought bottles that do not exist, and it's so cool to go back, and I can't wait to get into this to kind of see because this is freaking delicious.
It
Yeah,
is.
pass me that. Pass me the 7-year bottled and bond.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to jump into it too.
I'm really impressed by that 6-year.
Yeah.
It's almost like a butterscotchy kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's
and
really
it's
nice.
not as
I agree with that.
It's not as thick and heavy as what Heaven Hill is today, and it's kind of nice.
It is
Like,
nice.
I would
It's
drink
refreshing.
that all the time in the summer, straight up.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
This one I remember is a lot more like brown sugar, super nutty, but we'll get into it.
Yeah. Well, while we're doing that, I've got a
Yes,
couple
thank
of
you.
small little things I wanted to share that came out in
Good.
the news
Thank
More?
you.
over the last
Good for
week.
it.
So, and I'm sure you've heard this, but so last year, the wonderful Cuban government, puts increases
Wonderful
the price.
is pretty rough.
Yeah.
It's sarcasm in its worst degree. They increased the price of Bahiques to like $150.
Yeah.
Yep.
And everyone thought that's insane, that's stupid. And they still sell because people
Yep.
think they're the greatest thing ever, and which they're not, by the way, guys. This year they decide, you know what? That worked last year. We're going to increase the price to $300 a cigar now.
Oh, my.
So Bahiques are now $300 a cigar for the one size. The smallest size in the Bahiques are still like $290.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's stupid.
Pretty reasonable,
Yeah, whatever.
$290 one cigar.
So this,
Yeah.
so
you
this
can buy
kinda
2
irritated
boxes
me.
of Brad's stuff for that.
Exactly. So this is, we do a lot with Aladino.
Yep.
We love the Aroa family.
Yep.
So I saw a news article come out this week, and Christian Aroa, Justo's brother, come out with an Asylum at $60. I'm like, okay, Asylums were always like a budget friendly cigar.
Yeah.
Now they're pulling out one. That's
Is it a 10 by 100?
no, it's a normal size. But what's funny is he's touting that it's this amazing Corojo from Honduras, his dad's farm.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay.
Same stuff I'm sure they're using in the Corojo Reserva.
It is amazing Corojo. I
is
will
amazing.
give him that.
I will. I
That's
second
what
that.
he's touting is the reason why the price of the cigar is so much. I'm like, first of all, I'm thinking, is Julio charging his son a whole lot more than he charges himself for a cigar? That's great if he is. But I'm like, that's insane. I mean, and I've heard other brands saying, well, why not? Why don't we, Dominican, Nicaraguan, why don't we just go ahead and put out some really high cigars and jump into them? I'm like, that's what I like about you guys. You guys, you got some expensive cigars, but there's a reason behind it. But your core line is in that, $10 or under range.
Yeah, sweet spot, I like
exactly.
to call it.
Which it's like people can afford those.
You guys could with the flavor for value, you could raise your prices, and I would still be totally into it.
Yep.
Please don't.
But
it's just like
that's a Hochi thing.
We tried all of your cigars, and Rob was like reading me what the prices would be on them, and I was like, "Holy crap!" Like these are
by
like.
The way, anybody that's come in here and gotten any of those 85th anniversary cigars, you guys got a bonus because you got them for below cost.
Yes.
We had the prices wrong on them. It's double that.
Yep. Whoops.
Which is still a great price for that cigar, but I was selling them for under cost.
Oh, gosh.
And I don't know where we came up with that price, but Brad's like, that's wrong. I got back and look at him like, oh, shit, we lost all the money. So we've lost money on that cigar.
That's all right. We were sharing it, and that's
Hochi's, what I meant to say. We were sharing it.
Yeah, because Hochi says that. He always says,
Hey, cheers. We got Will and Chris in the house.
All right, cheers. Awesome. He says that too. I want to share my tobacco with people. And like you said, Rob, if there's a higher price on that cigar, it's because it costs a lot of money to sit on tobacco. So it might be 7-year-old tobacco. So for that reason, it's going to cost a little more.
You got storage.
And how many times we sort tobacco is insane. Mm-hmm. Insane.
Yeah, that's one thing. Is like we have... because we went down to the farm down there in Honduras a couple months ago, and we got a bunch of video. And Isaiah's been nice enough to kind of start editing some of the stuff because I'm terrible at it.
Yeah,
and we're
by start editing stuff, I took the SD card home and haven't touched it yet.
So we're gonna work on that. But the cool thing
we'll work on it. Yeah, it's a work in progress.
But the cool thing about that is it'll kind of show kind of what goes into making a cigar.
Yes.
And it's not like it's different from every manufacturer or other. Yeah, people do different things and stuff, but it'll show how many steps go into making a cigar.
Yes.
And how, when you come in here and this little Seppo is under $5, you're like, how could you even possibly sell something like this that goes through that much work for $5?
What do they say? Right? How many hands?
I thought like around 300.
Yeah, that's what I've always heard.
It's crazy.
And it's just insane.
Well, and again, Hochi being a traditional, how cigars were made 100 years ago or how they should be today. Rum, bourbon. It's true.
Yeah.
The old school way is the best.
Yeah.
And when you go there, they ferment tobacco, so they stack it.
Yeah.
And then as an American, I want to say you stack it, and you're going to stack it for, we'll say for argument of this conversation, 1 month, and then you're going to rotate it. So when I was touring the factory, I don't know, he looked like he was probably in his early 50s. And he wiggles his hand up into the pallone, and he rips out a piece of tobacco, and he smells it, and he actually chewed on a little bit, and then he took a Bic lighter, and he smelled it. And I said, the translator, I said, is it ready? Nope. I said, how much longer, a week or two? He goes like this. No. The tobacco will tell me.
Yeah.
So each pallone could be way different.
Yeah.
And we ferment our tobacco, 6 or 7 times, and it could take up to 3 years to do. And in between some of those, it's sorted again and sorted again. And
which
that's
is
where all
hard to come by now because sadly, there have been a couple cigars in lately that have had almost that ammonia thing, coming straight off, and it took them a month or two to get good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll throw them under the bus because I love them. But Crown Heads, Las Calaveras last year, it wasn't ready. That tobacco had not fermented long enough. 3 months later,
not quite a year, but probably about 9-10 months already.
I mean, we're about to have the next Las Calaveras in here.
Just now getting to the point where they're amazing.
They are fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's just
Well,
of course they are a hyper boutique where they don't have a factory. They're relying on everybody else. Those are made in the My Father factory, so maybe I'll throw them under the bus too.
Yeah,
but
traditional.
yeah, but it's just like,
Well,
and
and you
there's-
were talking about, the
there's so-
fermentation cycles and stuff, and the way you rotate the pylons to get because the center is going to be the hottest
Yep,
always.
always.
So you always got to rotate from the center out and
Yep.
and top down.
Yep.
And but after you roll them, you still got to let them sit because
Correct.
they're going to continue to marry, and you're going to go through another fermentation with
Yep.
them marrying together. And if you release them immediately, you're going to get the ammonia, and you're going to
Correct.
get that, and you have to
Yeah.
let them sit. And unfortunately, when you buy them as a shop, and I got to sit them in the back room for 3 months or 6
sitting
months.
on a lot of capital.
It's a
Yep.
lot of money. I've already paid all the taxes
Yeah.
on it, and
Yep.
I'm not making any money off of
Yeah.
them now.
well, and there are other cigars.
Thank you for waiting and bringing
Oh,
them
yeah.
out for us to to share them when they're ready.
Right.
Because again, Final Third does a great job of giving you an experience. So,
Well, it's
I know you
because
got-
above anything else, like Rob is a cigar
Yep.
connoisseur.
Heck
Like
yeah.
he knows stuff. He knows what it should taste like.
Mm-hmm.
I bet he could probably blend something given enough time.
I
I'm not to
Actually,
that
I
level.
want to do that one day because
Yeah.
I love
Amazing.
the idea of doing that.
I am not at that level, but Rob will smoke a cigar and like in the first couple puffs will be like, yeah, it needs a little bit of time, and it'll take me an inch and a half into the cigar to be like, he's right. Like,
Yeah.
Well, and
But,
we get a lot of people, especially some of the smaller brands, will come in here and bring samples in.
Yep.
And I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had 10 samples, and I'll light it and get that much into it. I'm like, nope. And
Yep.
I throw it out because it's either not good. And honestly, if someone pulls out a cigar and you light it up and it's not good right off the bat, they've already had a bad experience.
Yep.
Yeah, some of them will gain and get better over
Yep.
time.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to sell a cigar and say, by the way, you're going to buy this, you're going to hate it for the first 20 minutes, and then it'll get better. They're going to go, I'll just get something I like the whole time.
Correct.
And
Yep.
they're not going to buy it. So
that cigar better sell you from light.
it
Wow.
really should.
Oh.
And that's what yours do.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
And there's so many variances to what you were talking about. So, like in fermentation, they will hurry up and take young tobacco and they
Go to the
flash
next one.
fermentate it. So
yeah,
they
I'm going to go ahead and get into this next
Yep.
one just because we got time.
time.
So.
Okay. I'll do the same. They'll flash fermentate it. So they'll make a polone on a pallet.
Mm-hmm.
They'll put it into a room where they artificially heat up the tobacco. And for argument of this conversation, it's 130 degrees for 3 days.
Yeah.
And then they'll let that temperature come down
So
naturally.
so they're just giving it.
They're hurrying up the process.
Well, they're giving it everything it needs to do it. Because, I mean, all fermentation is, and people will hate me for saying this, it's controlled rot.
Yes,
Like,
it is.
It's what it is.
It
Yeah.
is.
It's
But-
the natural enzymes and the things in the atmosphere
It pulls
breaking
the
things
sugars
down.
out
Yeah.
of the.
Yes.
I mean, it's like, yeah, it is. I mean, think about a banana.
Yep.
You get a green banana, it's very vegetal, very, just not ready to be eaten. But once it starts, aging, you get it's softer, the sugars pop out more, it gets more flavor.
Yep.
Same thing with anything alive.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's this cigar, real quick?
Yeah, tell us again about this.
It's
one.
the La Instructora, so it's
Okay.
a Brazilian Cubra.
Which that's the same wrapper that's on the Unkind.
Unkind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amen.
So
Which I love the Unkind.
Yeah.
Another Dominican cigar.
yeah.
Yeah.
It is so the tobacco in this is in Galera. You're around 3 to 4 years old on all the tobacco.
Okay.
Mostly 3, with the Lajero being 7 years. Now this, all the tobacco is 5-6 years old
Wow.
with 7-year Lajero. So it's aged out a little,
Okay.
and you're gonna taste that.
Yeah.
All right.
Like when you talked about marrying. So when we roll this cigar, we over humidify the wrapper so it's like elastic. I mean, you can stretch the leaf, but we under humidify the binder filler. So when you say I smoked a freshie, well, the only time you want to smoke a freshie is literally when it came off the table.
Yeah.
And it's gonna you're gonna have to touch up the wrapper more, but that's gonna be the blend. Now, within 24 hours, it goes into a sick period.
Yeah.
In the more aged tobacco, the longer the sick period is. So it's about on Galera, and again, it's gonna be different because like the guy that checked that
Don't do it
Cologne
yet.
for me,
You can do your cold draw.
Oh, okay.
he stuck it in there and he wouldn't tell me how long it was going to take because the tobacco tells. And that's what they do with cigars.
Yeah.
Some are 3 months. Oh, that batch of Maduro took 4 months, 5 months. But again, we have such people that, like Hochi, when they were young, they were interested in, or what I find in our factory is we have 2 or 3 generations rolling.
Yeah.
And Hochi takes care of his people so well that they don't necessarily leave.
Right.
So I've got a young guy like Isaiah that's great at his job, but he has to wait forever to work up the ranks because people just
The
don't
rest
want to
of the
leave.
family's doing
Yes,
it. Yeah.
yeah.
So on this one, and did you get any flame on yours by accident?
No.
Okay. So
On the cold
hear me out.
draw,
I want you to hear me out on this one.
I'll tell you
take
what
a
I
cold
got.
draw.
Okay.
Let it sit on the tongue. Let the sweetness hit.
Yep.
Think Fruit Loops.
Oh,
Dude,
yes.
so
Okay.
I was thinking it's it's like the smell when you open a bag of the Ocean Spray like dried cranberries.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like
I
the-
can get
Because-
that too.
And I think that might be coming from that Brazilian Cubra because I think that the Cubra gives you some of those dry fruit notes.
Yeah.
Which
They
I
do.
love.
Yeah. So definitely
cool.
there. I'm excited about this. I've never smoked this cigar before.
But back to that flash fermentation.
Yeah.
You ever smoked a cigar
A
where
couple.
you take a a couple. Where you're getting into it and you can tell it's good.
Yeah.
But you're waiting for it to develop into blow your shoes and socks off and
Yeah.
it never does it.
Yep.
Probably it was flash fermentated.
Gotcha.
And we're hurrying up the process. And just like you
So
guys are
if
bourbon
you go after flash fermentation, if you give it more time, will it ever recover from that? Or is it just because you hurried along a natural process, it's not able to?
I believe the latter, but
Okay.
that would be a Hochi question.
Yeah.
Like if you see, I'll pick on Padron. Sometimes the natural and the Maduro almost look the same,
Yeah.
but yet they taste
See,
completely
and
different.
I've heard, and this actually came from like a Padron interview, and it may completely be BS, but I've smoked them side by side, and I really feel like they are. They actually will take the natural and the Maduros, and basically they just separate them out by color, same cigar, put them in different boxes. But I don't know if that's
I
true.
would call BS. On
Okay,
that
okay.
Because of the difference in taste.
See, and I've tasted them. I think they taste very similar.
Similar, yeah.
So
to
maybe
me-
I'm wrong.
Oh well.
Okay,
But
I've
I
said
don't
that
know,
before.
but
and
that
I'm probably wrong.
But I would. We need to do some investigative reporting.
I think
on
Well,
smoke
for
them side by
science.
side,
Yeah,
over
Yep.
and over
science,
and over and
yeah.
over and over.
Yeah, this cigar has that red pepper spice on the retrohale.
Yeah.
That's like, oh man, it is kind of
smokestack.
it's kind of that dried fruit on the palate a little bit too.
This is right in my wheelhouse right here.
Yep.
And these are coming here, by the
Yes,
way,
they
guys.
are.
You're going to enjoy these.
And there's almost a Cocoa Puffs thing,
Yeah.
like not quite like real chocolate, but like
Cocoa Puffs with some fruit.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is really nice.
And I will say this whiskey, just a year older, and it could be, I don't know if it's the same exact whiskey, just a year older or not. Maybe it is.
It is. Well, supposedly.
I mean, you get that brown sugar. You
Yeah.
get the deep, dark flavors in
Yes.
it.
it's completely changed, and the Heaven Hill 7 has quite a bit more of that oak presence in it
Yeah.
too.
does.
I
surprising
really
before
like
you're-
that 6, but they're just two different moods.
Two
They
different.
are.
They are.
Yeah, like it's not like one's better than the other. It's just
In good
Well, do you want
pairing, too,
something
because
lighter and
this goes
fruitier?
Perfect with the 7.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like lighter and fruitier or dark and heavy.
Yeah.
Which one do you want? Granted, you can't get the lighter and fruitier one.
Yeah.
And when I say lighter, it's not like light in flavor. It's not bland by any means.
No.
It's just not those super dark, heavy.
It's heavy on the palate,
Yeah.
for
Yep.
sure. Yeah.
It's
It's
very
really
nice.
kind of cool because like I said, I don't think I've ever had that either. I'm 99% sure I've never had that either. It's really cool to see just what 1 year did to an amazing whiskey,
Yep.
other than added $40 to the cost of the bottle.
Yeah. Yep.
Sadly.
It is.
I would still take this at a sub $20 bottle
Oh, yeah.
all day long. Like,
And luckily, I had some insider baseball on that, and they said that
that
the
change
first
was
time
coming.
I had,
Yeah.
I bought a case, but not knowing that I wasn't going to give it, I would give it out to clients. I'm like, man, someone showed me this amazing bourbon. I'm going to share it with you guys. And they're like, wow, that's great. And then the next time I go to buy a case, he's like, yeah, they're discontinuing that. So I grabbed everything they had, and that's the last bottle I have.
Oh, wow.
Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
that.
thank
Well,
you for sharing it.
You guys
Serious.
share all the time.
You're
I
the
mean,
man.
whether it's this table or that table over there, we've had some great sit-tos,
We
great
really have.
conversation, and for me to soak in bourbon knowledge to you guys, I appreciate it. I definitely do.
Well, we appreciate you, buddy. It's been a lot of fun getting to know you
Yeah.
this last year, and your brand's doing great here. We're going to be having more blends coming in here soon. This is
Yep.
one of them.
Yep.
Nothing that Hoochie makes is
Agreed.
bad.
And that's why I call him the Wizard of Oz of the cigar industry.
Yeah.
Because he's so modest. Like when I asked him, I'm like, well, how much tobacco do we grow and sell? Oh, a good amount. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then I'm at an event with another person, and they have their cigars done in the Dominican, and I'm like, so Hochi's all modest about it. He's like, we grow a fair amount and we sell a fair amount, and the brand owner's like, yeah, a lot, not a fair amount, a lot. He's like, if you've manufactured cigars in the Dominican, at some point you've bought Hochi tobacco.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, well, he tells me a fair amount.
A fair
You're
amount,
telling
yeah.
me, holy cow, he's integral in it.
Yeah.
But like the Wizard of Oz, he's behind the curtain.
Oh,
So
yeah.
If you're not a cigar geek, and thank you guys for doing that, most people just don't know the story of Hochi, and that's as a brand we're now starting to try to tell that to everyone. And like you said,
It's important.
it is because, like you mentioned, so out of all of our cigars, whether the Connecticut's not your deal or that Urus, Anamois Urus
Yeah.
is not your deal, somewhere in between there, I have one that fits your palate.
Totally.
And because of the quality, I get into your rotation. And that's the best part of this brand.
Yeah.
Is because Hochi makes good cigars. He makes my job a little bit easier if I can sit down and smoke the line with a shop, and it takes some time.
Yeah.
Well, and he does a great job with this brand because there is something for everyone.
Yes.
It's not like some of the more heritage brands where it's kind of like, oh, well, I only smoke such and such brand that's been around for 20 years.
Correct.
Right.
Like, they all taste the same. Like,
Yep.
of course you do.
Yes.
Like, they're all so similar to each
Yep.
other.
Yeah.
These have that kind of through line to them, but there is something for everyone. If you want a little bit spicier, he's got that. If you're looking for the first cigar of the day with your coffee, he's got that as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank
Absolutely.
you for that.
Yeah. For sure, man.
Yep.
This little cigar is fantastic.
I love this.
I do too. So again,
And this has been out for a while, but it was held by a brand owner that has another line that's made at Tabacalera Palma that went into partnership with Hochi. They've had some medical issues, so they're not on the road as much as they need to be.
Yeah.
So in January, Hochi gave us La Instructora, which I'm super excited about because once I can, like you guys have had the core line for a while, and now after this event today, we're going to be able to step up into. Now, granted, now we're going $10 to $18 in the Perfection and Box Press line.
Sure.
$20 range. But there is a value to this. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a difference in this compared to the core line.
Oh, sure.
Yep.
Yeah. And so it's the Brazilian Cuba wrapper. What
Yep.
was the binder filler on this one? Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't, but
Okay.
I can look it up real quick. Now, the Perfection line is the Habano Rosado. Know that all of our cigars have Piloto Cubano in it.
Yeah.
So this particular, the box press has Brazilian Cubra, The binder is Dominican Piloto, and the filler is Criollo 98 and another leaf of the Piloto Cubano.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely got that same mouthfeel, the watering of the mouth. Like I said, the red pepper is definitely there.
Yep.
Still getting a lot of cocoa notes in it.
Yeah.
Yep. And the beauty about Hochi is with those different farms, each microclimate, just because you have the same seed, because of the nutrients that are in that soil, three pieces of leaf from those, or 4 pieces of leaf from those 4 farms taste completely different.
Yeah.
So just because there's 2 leaves of that peloto in the binder and the filler, 2 different flavors.
Yeah.
Yep. Which we can taste.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
So there's something we do on the show, and we're going to do it with you too. And again, it can be all your brand. It can be other brands that you enjoy, whatever. But we like to ask, what's your everyday budget-friendly cigar, or your budget-friendly cigar, your everyday cigar, you just smoke them all the time, and then your celebratory cigar.
So I'm going to go through my entire cigar realm, and I would say my favorite, and it's very Vitola specific for my brand. I probably smoke the most Connecticut, and I like it in either the Ceppo Bonchero, so we're talking 38 gauge, 42 gauge, or the Pegador, which is a 46 by 6.
Yeah.
So there's that. My favorite is probably the Pegador Maduro in my brand.
Okay.
And then special cigar out of my factory would be the Sans Parai in either the which they're out of production right now, the Super Lancero. But the Purple Band, Ecuadorian Sumatra, I like a lot. But man, this is so tough.
Well, and let me put you on the spot.
The Toro Criollo, which is another like Hochi's 85th. It's a mild cigar with a lot of flavor.
Yeah.
So like you said, you have to call it medium bodied because you're not getting that nicotine punch.
Yeah.
But super flavorful where
Yeah.
the Corojo Red is heavier in nicotine, so I
Totally.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as when I smoked a ton of industry cigars, my budget friendly was the Gran Habano Corojo No. 5, the red band.
Yeah.
That was always a go-to to me. Or the it's in El Rey de Mundo, the tissue papered Ascaro, because I love, when I was a new smoker, I loved to light with a cedar strip.
Oh yeah.
And then that cigar is so cedary
yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
My first 100 cigar was I met a friend that aged cigars, and he gave me a VSG round in 2003. So that was a 97 cigar. It said VSG cabinet on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the first 100 cigar I had.
Okay.
What would be another 100 cigar? The Padron Millennium I smoked in 2010 on New Year's Day.
Nice.
I talk a lot, and when you have a cigar like that where you just stare at it, smoke it, stare at it, it's a game changer.
Okay. So here's another question for you. What was, if you remember it, what was your first box buy as far as cigars?
Wow. I think it was the Hoyo de Monterey Excalibur number 2 because it was the Monica Lewinsky cigar. That's the only reason I like.
That's awesome.
I like the cigar, but because of the backstory.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
hilarious.
That's
Yep.
amazing.
Yep.
That's
Okay,
great.
so the same question for you as far as whiskey or spirits. What's your budget pour, your everyday, and then a celebratory? And the celebratory can be something that you have or you don't have, or
So, celebratory, I'll start off with. I had a client, and they had, I'm used to Michigan events. So,
Yeah.
if we had 25, 30 people, I was doing fat man cartwheels out in the parking lot. And we would, if we sold 20 boxes or something like this, and I go to this client, and they had an event every Tuesday of every week. In my first event, I sold 75 boxes.
Nice.
Wow.
And as a new brand, and the client said, "Hey, for a new brand, you really made
You
some
killed
waves."
it, yeah.
And they gifted me, and again, I was a frickin' bourbon doofus, a bottle of Elmer T. Lee, and I
Oh.
drank it down. And I go back, and I'm like, I need more of this because it's amazing.
Like,
And
good
they
luck.
laugh too. Yeah, yep. Because you're not
You're
gonna
not
get
gonna
that.
find it. Yeah.
So that's my celebratory.
Okay,
And
okay.
I do have my hands on one bottle, but
What are you saving it for?
I think what I'm
If
gonna
it's
save it-
personal, you don't really have
No,
to.
no,
I
no,
was
no.
thinking for a final third.
Yeah.
hangout sometime.
Hey, I like the way you're thinking.
No, I'm teasing, man.
Actually, that might
That's-
happen.
no, that's your
But
baby.
I'm gonna hold it till my oldest graduates high school.
Okay.
And I have held back 2 of those Super Lanceros,
Yeah.
Nice.
and we're gonna smoke that and have a little of that.
Cool.
Nice.
Now,
Oh, that's
what's
awesome.
left, because I do not drink
Yeah.
bourbon by myself, because I would rather do it like you said, the final third.
Yeah.
So whatever's left, I'll hold it back until we
Nah.
do that.
We
Now,
will
one-
never force you to do something like
Now,
that.
one thing
Now,
I-
we will let you twist our arm a little.
So because I'm hanging out with guys like you, my everyday is switching up. And now when I say every day, I'll do like a pour like that.
Yeah.
Because a friend of mine is a beer guy, so he'll have a beer and I'll have a small pour. But I'll only do maybe 1, maybe
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
I would rather drink with guys like you that are going to educate me on what I'm drinking, why I like this, why I don't like that.
Yeah.
And as I learn more, I probably will have more every day.
Yeah. So let's say you walk into a bar that kind of has the staples.
Okay.
You have to get a pour. What is it?
So when I was a novice, it was Woodford.
Okay.
Then you guys showed me I like hotter juices. So
You're
I don't
welcome.
know. Yeah.
You're welcome, or
Yeah.
we're sorry.
Yeah.
One of the two.
Yeah.
I've been really loving on some Starlight stuff.
Cool.
That old elk that's up there.
Yeah.
I've been playing with the Yellowstone stuff.
Okay. Yeah. What's
Ezra
that?
Brooks for my budget. Obviously, it used to
Okay.
be that bottled and
So
bond.
what you're telling me is you love Heaven Hill.
Well,
So
I'm with you, buddy.
knowing-
So Yellowstone,
Yeah.
Yellowstone is sourced Heaven Hill. Ezra Brooks is sourced Heaven Hill.
Yeah.
So you're a Heaven Hill nut.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cheers,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah. Cheers to that.
I
Look
am
at that.
too.
I learned what I like now.
Yeah. I
The
mean,
Woodford
honestly.
Double Oak is legit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really do much regular Woodford unless I'm going to have a bourbon and Coke. And when I do a bourbon and Coke, it has to be Mexican Coke or Pepsi Real Sugar.
Yeah.
There you go.
To me,
Totally.
it's better.
Oh,
Yeah.
way better.
That
Different sweetness altogether.
Well, different sweetness, and I'm trying to be a better person and lose some weight, so I'm going to get rid of the high fructose corn syrup.
Sure.
And I did watch the History Channel. That was brought on by Pepsi to save money to compete with Coke, and then Coke saw that they did that, and they went along with it too to
Yep.
save money.
Yep.
Quit saving money. I'll pay more
Oh,
for
yeah.
goodness. Like in a cigar. This one's a little more, but it's aged, and I like it a little bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Oh,
I
yeah.
like that a little better.
Yeah.
Yep.
Please offer that to me, because I'll pay more for. I don't drink pop
We're,
that much anyway.
we're kind of the same way with whiskeys when you have
Yes.
these companies that want to proof everything down because they can charge less for the bottle. We're like, no, don't proof it down and charge us more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll pay for something.
If
better.
your product is good, like
Yes.
just
Do
get
it.
it into our hands.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Oh, that's
Yep.
cool. That's real cool.
So then I'm going to pose that question to you now, because you're my bourbon sommelier. See, I slaughtered that word. Too.
Not
Ninja.
not
Yeah.
not quite sommelier.
Yep.
But
sommelier.
I mean, as far as whiskeys for me, my budget would be JTS Brown,
Okay.
which you can't get JTS Brown in Michigan, I don't
No,
think.
but funny you say that. The last time I was at a client's place, again, I lean on you guys, and I said, "Hey, what's a good budget?" And I got a bottle of that. So I haven't
Yeah.
opened it yet,
Which, by
but
the
I'm excited.
JTS Brown is Heaven Hill bottle. Of wine.
It is Heaven Hill Bottle of Wine. It is, yeah, straight up. You'll like it. You'll like it. But JTS Brown is like my go-to. I don't know what to put in this old fashioned. Like, it's also my go-to when I go on barrel picks because I'll check my palate with it because I know exactly what JTS Brown tastes like. So if I've eaten something that morning in that JTS Brown that I have afterward, tastes funky, like I know I need to drink a little bit more to like reset it. So I think my everyday for me, that really changes on what bottle I'm killing.
Yeah.
Lately though, it's been Rittenhouse Rye Picks.
Okay.
Which again is Heaven Hill.
Okay.
But my like special occasion pours have been old Knob Creek 15-year picks at the 120 proof mark. I just love
Which
those
is not
things.
Knob as bean.
Yeah. And I do like Knob Hill.
Yeah.
I have several bottles of that. I'm just kind of baby stepping into rye.
Yeah.
Some of it, they'll blow my shoes off.
Yeah.
Others, I'm like, it's all right. But when I got the first brown whiskey I got into was Scotch.
Yeah.
And I had to drink it in a Godfather, which is like ruining it because you're putting all that Di Serono in there.
Yeah.
And then once I graduated into neat, and I found I want to take a sip of neat to try it, and then I just want to drop it of water or a small ice cube to open it up. I did buy a steel because I had heard, I think it was, maybe I watched that video neat because you guys recommended to watch it. And they
the
talked
whiskey
about
documentary.
that. Yeah, that back in the day, the Irish people wanted to chill their whiskey. So, the mountain streams or whatever, the cold water coming down the streams, they couldn't afford ice. So they grabbed a rock out of that cold stream to chill it down.
Yeah.
So I do like my whiskey a little chillier, not necessarily room temperature, but I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah.
But I don't want it too watered down. And what amazes me is I'll pick on Jake's Cigar Bar because they really helped me when I knew nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are modifying me now that I know a little. And it was a droplet of water.
Yeah.
And he made me nose it. And then that droplet of water and what? Did you just switch glasses on me or something?
One little drop, man. Change
It's crazy. I think it's especially like the water droplets. I don't do it all the time on bourbon, but I will on Scotch. Like especially in Isla, will change completely with just a drop of water because what that's doing is, the water and oil, they don't mix, so it's spreading the oils farther and actually wrecking with some of the chemical compounds in there, and it's a completely different pour. 1 or 2 drops of water in there. Granted, please don't use your city water to throw in there.
Get a bottle of water.
Get a bottle of water.
Proper.
Yeah.
Or just get your cap. And
that also being said, like you don't need to go to Total Wine and get the limestone water that's in a plastic bottle. Because you're gonna taste plastic water in your whiskey.
RO
that may be a hot take, but RO water.
Water's the best.
I will say it's different. Just like the first time I was at Jake's and they put a Luxardo cherry in my old fashioned.
Oh yeah,
changed the game.
I didn't even know what that was, and now you frickers have spoiled me. And I'll go to a bar and I'll be like, I'll take maybe an old fashioned. You guys do Luxardo? What's that? I'll take a beer. Because once you've had it, it does.
It ruins them.
And as a young man, I love Maraschinos.
Well, the thing is, the thing is with the Luxardos is they're quite a bit more expensive.
But it's again.
It is so much better of a
Pay an
flavor
extra buck for
profile.
an old fashioned.
But that's a lot of the way that I'll go in and tell like if this is a legit cocktail bar or not.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
I mean, if they're just slinging cocktails back there,
Man.
nobody cares.
Gentlemen, this is
a good pairing.
Forget about
Yeah.
it. This is
It's
good.
a very good pairing.
Oh yeah. No, it's absolutely fantastic. And actually, this cigar on the palate for me, I'm in the second third already, is getting quite a bit more of those spicy notes in
Yep.
it.
And
Like,
no, this box has been in my coolador for 3-4 years.
Wow.
So it's when you get something that's fresh from the warehouse, it now adds some more of that spice
Yeah.
to it. Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
it's crazy. This is not a complaint or anything. It does that AJ thing for me on the palate, where
Yeah.
it's almost that vegetal spice on the
Yep.
palate, and that's not a knock to it. I love that.
No.
Good thing.
And
I love that.
Hochi and AJ are best friends.
Oh, good.
Why? Because they're farmers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they are, and they enjoy good tobacco. Like, I need to babble up some Spanish because they start and I have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But they're grinning from ear to ear.
Yeah.
And I know they're talking fields and varieties of tobacco and all that because that's who they are.
Yeah.
Uh, Yes, and both super modest guys.
Oh yeah.
Super modest guys.
Which that's the craziest thing. Like the people that, especially I would call them U.S. based tobacco brands.
Yes.
Like where the head of the company is in
Yep.
the U.S. and like shows up and
Yep.
has their own like
Hey, that actually came off pretty good. that
tobacco
time.
lounges. Like they those guys know tobacco, but they will let you know they know tobacco.
Yes.
You interact with the people that are actually doing it and working
Yes.
in the factories.
Yep.
It's a different animal.
Yeah.
But it's also a difference between the American mentality of like, look at what I did,
Yes.
and it's also like, and then there it's like, well, I wouldn't be able to do this without the people that are around me and
Correct.
the way
Yes.
the land has been treated and all that
Yes.
stuff.
Yep.
It's a completely different appreciation.
Yes. And that's how Hochi is. He gives, that guy just knows. Again, they will forget more about tobacco than I'll ever know.
Right.
But I don't know if they just assume everyone knows what they know, so it's normal to them.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe you don't know that. Or are they just that modest? And I think they're that modest.
Yeah.
And they give, I couldn't do Galera if it wasn't for my La Galera rolling room. Or my best friend Mickey, who's controlling the core of every cigar is the tobacco.
Yeah.
So this guy is a soil geek. He loves cigars too and is a cigar geek, but he knows pH levels, nitrogen levels, all this craziness.
That's really interesting that even La Galera is into that, because I've been on some HERF calls or event calls, especially during COVID, and I'd ask about that stuff with, of course, those COVID Zoom events or whatever they were. They'd actually bring in some Top Guns.
Yes.
It didn't matter. They didn't have anything to do.
Yeah.
But they weren't really interested in entertaining those questions about soil levels and stuff like that. And actually, the guys from Drew Estate were offended when I
Really?
even talked about that
Okay.
with them. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize this was blacklisted.
Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite parts is one of the first meetings.
I'm just a nerd, though.
yeah,
that's the
good,
only
though.
reason I care.
That's
Yeah.
good. And your customers show it because you have good smokers here. And you don't just soak in the knowledge and keep it within you. You guys are giving it to your customers. Again, better experience.
Yeah.
And I travel to a lot of states, and not every shop is like this. Not every shop gives and walks in the humidor. We should.
Yeah.
I
This is the
recommend it.
shop I wish I had when I was first
Yeah.
starting to smoke. And I found a great shop when I was first getting into cigars.
Which
and
I think you guys are in Smokers Abbey down in Tennessee.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my home shop in college, and that's
Okay.
where I really dove into cigars. And I love those guys.
Yes.
But it did take me a couple months before one of the guys kind of took me under his belt and talked to me about him.
Yeah.
Why do I like this one? I don't know. I just do.
Yep.
And it was just once you figure out why you like that,
Yep.
it opens an entirely new world for you because
Correct.
it's like,
It really does.
well, I found out early on that I like making Mexican San Andreas over Nicaraguan. Well, everyone makes one of those, just about.
Yep.
So like, you run through the lines and it's
Yep.
like, well, I like this one better than that one, and I don't know.
Well,
I'm always just trying stuff. Like I
Yeah.
just love that.
Well, I've been into shops in our region that, and I've seen this happen, which floors me. Is someone working in a shop and someone comes in, I'm brand new to cigars. What should I smoke? And it's almost like he's messing around with them.
Yeah.
And he'll give him a full-bodied cigar because that's what he likes. And the guy goes over there and you see the guy turning green. He lays down 3/4 of a cigar and walks out. And I'm like, that guy's never going to smoke a cigar again. You lost a customer.
Correct.
And actually, you may have not only lost a customer, you may have turned somebody off of cigars for the rest of their life.
And we're a small industry. We need to
Exactly.
suck up as many people to lower their blood pressure, relax. Really, that doctor said I took a Hippocratic oath. I can't tell you smoking's healthy, Brad, but smoking's healthy.
Yeah.
That's basically what he said to me.
Yeah.
Well, and you got, you were talking about having something for everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
you even have that Rough Rider brand
Yes.
that has a sweet tip on it for somebody
That Rough Rider
bigger.
brand kills here.
Oh,
So
I've got
sugar
one guy
cane,
comes in here-
honey, and wine, and it's not infused. It's just on the tip.
On the tip, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I've got one guy comes in here, he
He bought
6 to
8
of them,
yesterday.
Yeah.
and it's about every 2 or 3 days. Comes
Yeah.
in, grabs a handful. He's bought a box before, and,
Nice.
and it's just like that's his jam. I'm like, and we're one of those shops where we're like, I know there are shops that look down upon people that smoke sweet stuff. We're the shops like, if you're enjoying a cigar, good on you, man.
Yes.
You smoke what you like, you drink
Yep.
what you like. If you want a frou drink with your sweet cigar
Yeah.
and you're enjoying it,
Then-
that's
Well, and that's
Yeah.
really that
Same
whiskey tribe
relaxation.
mantra of the best whiskey is the whiskey you like
You
to
like.
drink the way you like to drink it. And we think the
Exactly.
same way about cigars.
exactly.
And
Yep.
thank you for that.
And
Yep.
that's the way it should be. I mean, we should be encouraging more people to get involved, whether it's a sweet
Yes.
cigar or a strong cigar or a cocktail or straight 135 proof
Yeah.
Old Bones rye that Isaiah loves.
Hey, it's good. It's
It
good.
is good.
And we talk all the time, like kind of talking about sweet cigars is for beginners, but there are some people that just love that.
Correct.
Yeah.
And what I love,
they'll never go
Yes.
from anything than that, and it's fantastic. Like, please.
All right, so if that sounded like a little bit of a choppy thing, our battery went dead, so we're back on again.
Yeah, the sound won't be choppy, just
Yep.
a video.
So I was in Ohio, and a guy grabbed some sweet cigars.
yeah.
And then he told me he wanted some dark cocoa, so I gave him a Maduro.
Yeah.
And then he said he was into sweet cigars, so what do? I'm like, well, you probably won't like that. He's like, no, I like regular cigars too. See, I pigeon-toed him because he was a sweet cigar guy. That's all he was going to have. No. See, that's the beauty of that Rough Rider is now we can take him, well, May 4th was just a couple, 2 days ago, we brought that cigar smoker to what I call the dark side.
Oh, yeah.
The industry stuff,
Yeah.
the regular stuff, everything along that side, that back wall. In that, you can start with an infused, then go to that sweet tip, then go to what we smoke. But yet, like you said, they'll grab. Hey, I want to smoke dessert every once in a while.
Yeah,
And there's nothing wrong
it's
with
great.
that at all.
My fear for the sweet smoker is that those will get banned.
Yeah.
So like, I am constantly trying to in my head. I will say graduating, though it's not really that. Trying to get people to branch out into straight tobacco stuff, or even just a sweetened tip.
Yes.
Because I think the infused stuff, sadly, will leave quicker than just a sweet tip.
I agree, because technically, I don't believe a sweet tip is considered a flavored cigar.
Yeah.
Because if I cut heavy on those Rough Riders,
It's
now
gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yes, I agree with you, though.
But-
as much as I personally might not like an infused cigar, I used to smoke them. That's what brought me to the industry.
yeah.
I don't want them banned.
My first ever cigar was an acid blondie, and
Yes.
like I enjoyed that, and thought, I wonder what else is out there. And
Well-
then like my next couple were the Asylum that have the sweet tip on them, and It's kind of funny thinking about that now that I was smoking JRE tobacco like when I was first getting into it.
And we had an FDA check at our old shop, and she kept talking to me how these that kids are getting into cigars. Well, what kid is paying $20 for a freaking Padron Anniversario or $30?
Or even $10 for a blondie or a Cuba Cuba. They're not.
No, they were buying cigars. They were buying dry cured Swisher Sweets.
Oh yeah,
Taking a razor blade, taking the tobacco out, and putting some fun stuff in it.
Yeah.
That's why.
Oh yeah,
you think that the kids are drinking. Well, now we have enough blunt wraps and other stuff. They don't have to do that. Back when the smoking age was 18, I never would see a young person come into that cigar shop until graduation week, and I would get maybe 15, 20.
Yeah.
And I would try to get them, do you want a sweet tip or you want something regular? Well, my dad smokes this, so I want to try that. So I would get them what I thought was the best for what, what was it? The Padron Magnum in a natural.
Yeah.
It's a huge, statement cigar.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I'm like, you guys, we're going to be around a campfire. So I would give, them a couple, and they'd pass it around, or a couple of them wanted their own.
Yeah.
And out of the 20, I would get 1 or 2 that would come back in. Hey, that was a neat experience. Can we build upon that? Well, that kid can be drafted or sign up to be in the military, and he can die for his country. But nowadays, I'll be damned if he can have a cigar before he does.
I'm with you.
Or Rob says the
drink
same
bourbon.
Yes. Well,
Like
and that was funny, too, that you mentioned that. When I was in school, being a friendly guy, I always befriended all the exchange students.
Yeah.
And they would say, you guys are freaking ridiculous. Why do you power drink? Well, because we couldn't drink.
Yeah.
But to him, he was like, well, we would just have a wine or a bourbon or or
16
something after.
years old with your parents.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, in America, we have made power drinkers and stuff like that because it's so illegal and so that. Well, why do people want Cubans? Because
you
can't
can't
get them.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest, maybe back in the 60s, they were the bomb.com.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I'm sorry, everything you have in your humidor is as good, if not better, than any Cuban you'll.
Well, any Cuban you get, you might as well buy a box, because half the box is going to be plugged, and the other box you can set aside for 4 years, and then it might be all right.
And this is a good example for why government shouldn't get involved with anything. It's not part of their politics.
Correct.
Because when they do, they screw it up.
One of the cool things is when I went to VP of sales, I was traveling the entire U.S., and we had a business partner that was in good with the PCA, and I happened to be in D.C. when the senators and their people were going to be at the PCA headquarters, and we were going to talk tobacco and smoke cigars and stuff like that. And obviously a lot of the board members are shop owners.
Yeah.
And I was able to go in and pass out some Galera to our senators and their people and talk about, this is an industry that it doesn't matter race, religion, age, economic. I've seen millionaires and janitors arm in arm laughing, talking about anything from politics, religion. No one's yelling at each other.
Yeah.
Some people talk louder because you obviously can hear better and understand better when you talk louder. But other than that, at the end, they were open. Their mind are open. Why? Because they're not stressed. We're now relaxed. We get to get, I see your side. Now, I was anti that, but now I get it a little bit.
Yeah.
Name another industry that we can do this in. Zero.
Well, and that's one of the things we talk about all the time is how awesome it is where you can have a retired millionaire sitting here talking to the guy that works at the prison down the road here.
Correct.
And they're actually enjoying a conversation with each other. Probably not talking about anything that they do.
Yes.
But it's around a cigar and a drink,
Correct.
and you're just relaxing, and you're getting to know the people around you.
Yes, loving life.
You can't do that in very many places other than a cigar lounge, in my opinion.
Yep.
And even a lot of cigar lounges aren't really conducive to that because, I get people all the time say, do I need to get a reservation? I'm like, no, just come and hang out.
Yeah.
And it's like but if you're in that reservation mindset, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to get a table for me and my two buddies or me and my wife, and we're
Yeah.
going to sit by ourselves
In a clique,
and have the
yep.
same conversation we'd have if we were at a restaurant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where in here, it's kind of designed to where people kind of are around each other.
And I always catch people being like, "Oh, I don't mean to butt in on your conversation,"
Yes.
and I'm like, "This is a lounge.
Yeah,
Like,
jump in.
please butt in.
Exactly.
Like, please
Yeah.
do.
That's
Yeah.
That's
like, join in."
yep.
We've had some of the most amazing friendships happen in this room.
Yeah.
It would never have happened unless they were smoking a cigar.
So
Yeah.
I'll tell a story. I waited till I was 30 to get married. I had a stack of IOUs this big from all my high school buddies. I did garages, pole barns, cut down trees, roofs, whatever, redo a bathroom. So I'm going to move 67 miles away. I've got a truck and a trailer. I need them for a max of 5 hours. It's an hour and 10-minute drive. If I can get 3 of these guys, we can get all the boxes unloaded into the garage, and I can take care of the rest. And I want to take care of the rest
Yeah.
by myself. Well, I got this, rocket football, soccer, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's fine. The wife can take care of that. Remember that stack of IOUs?
Yeah.
Well, I can. I'm assistant coaching. But yeah, I'm sure they'll be all right for one time. Nope. So who helps me out? I had gone to this cigar lounge that I later worked for maybe 3 months. These are retired guys that had no business helping me move boxes. Well, I was going to take the wife up to Traverse City and we were going to wine taste, but I didn't book any hotels, so I'll be there. Hey, I'll be there too, Brad. So I got 3 guys that I've known for 3 months. But why? Because of this right here.
Yeah.
This is what we talked about. This cigar brings people together.
It does.
And now all of a sudden you know who your real friends are.
Well, and I had crazy conversations, especially when I was getting into it, with people that I would have never talked to at college. Like, that's the thing that I loved about cigars, because I got into them when I was in college, and I was in Nashville, Tennessee. Again, shout out to Smokers Abbey,
Shout
the
out.
best shop in
Cheers.
Nashville.
Yep. Let's
Cheers to
cheers
you
it.
guys, Josh Stump,
Yep.
Nate Poner,
Yeah.
like everything.
Legit
So-
gentlemen.
Oh
Legit
yeah.
gentlemen.
Oh yeah. I got into a lot of conversations with people there that these are people who I would have never interacted with if I was just in a college bubble.
Correct.
You know?
Yep.
And that was the beautiful thing about it. Like, and it is the great equalizer.
Yes.
Like,
It's fun too, because I mean, cigar lounge. I mean, cigars used to be. It was more of the wealthy who's who
Yes.
guys that are smoking cigars.
Yep.
And that still happens.
Yes.
I mean,
there are lounges for that.
there are
Yeah.
lounges for that, and that's great. I mean, that's fine if that's what you're looking for. And we do. We get the local. I mean, like we got Brian Wilkes. He's a local meteorologist. Has been here for 25 years.
Yep.
He comes in here, and you get to know him. You're like, this guy's totally different than he is on the internet.
Hell yeah.
He's a super awesome guy. He's become a great friend.
That's
We got
amazing.
local judges that come in here.
Nice.
It's like the only time you're ever going to see that guy is if you're in trouble.
Correct.
And you
But-
get to hang out and talk to
Yes.
them, and they become friends. It's
Yep.
like,
Totally.
it's so much fun
Totally.
to see that everyone we're just a bunch of people enjoying stuff. Like,
Yes.
let's do it together.
It
Yep.
is. Yeah.
Agreed.
I love it, man.
It's
That is
amazing.
awesome.
But we should probably wrap this up.
Yeah.
I'm in the final third. What are you getting as far as notes, Rob?
Well, why don't you start?
To me, a dark cocoa, like a dark chocolate, 70%.
Yeah.
something like that.
That has a little bit of that fruity quality
Yes.
to it. Totally.
Agreed. What else? The spice on this one is going in and out for me.
Yeah.
But again, this has got an extra 4+ years on it.
Yeah.
Because it's been sitting in my coolador. Know that something from the warehouse is going to you're going to pick up the spice a little bit more.
Yeah. The spice definitely died down in that
yeah.
second third, but
Yep.
I'm in the final third for
And you're
sure.
getting it. Yeah.
And it's come back. And
I'm talking
it is
yeah.
a really nice
Yeah.
The spice
red
is,
pepper.
I mean, it's kind of unique because it's not just red pepper. It's not white pepper. It's like a good combination of spices.
Yep.
There's some baking spices and there's a little bit
Yes.
of everything going on there. And
Yep.
I feel like even on the smoke side of it, you're getting a lot of those umami kind of notes, that real rich, savory kind of
Yeah.
note to it that I really enjoy.
Yep.
And again, the mouth is still watering
Yes.
as you're smoking it, which
Yep. Thank you, Hochi.
and
Yep.
yeah, and it's funny. 'cause
Serious.
There are some really great cigars out there
Yep.
that taste great, that just dry your mouth out. It's like I can't enjoy that as well. And I mean, we got some in there that are, I smoke them all the time. They dry my mouth. I know I have to go to something like this afterwards.
Okay.
To kind of re-wet the palate.
Yep.
So, and anything more on the bourbons? I mean, both of these have been fantastic.
No, this Heaven Hill
Yeah.
bottled and bond that we have at the shop is a fantastic pairing
It is.
with this instructor.
Yep.
Like,
And I think it would go well with the Habano line.
Yeah.
It would go good with the Maduro line. Yep. And then that 6-year
yeah.
with that Seppo was
Oh,
perfect.
yeah. It was
Thank you
perfect.
guys.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Thank
glad I
you.
brought it, but still,
Yeah.
it worked out perfect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's something too, guys. Don't overthink pairing, because
No.
sometimes you can stumble on something like what we did.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't go crazy into it. Sometimes just try it,
Yeah.
because you'll find a hidden mistake.
And the fun thing is, especially with pairing cigars and whiskey, is you'll think like, oh, these share common notes. Like this is going to be like I think about the Backbone light whiskey finished in Imperial Stout cask.
Yeah.
We tried it with the Neanderthal. We thought this is going to be a chocolate overload bomb, and it was like. No,
Didn't
it
work.
canceled each other out
Really?
and ended up being super floral and brought out something completely different in the whiskey than you'd ever have before.
Yep.
So, like, again, just try stuff.
Yes.
And a lot
Agreed.
of times it's the opposites that work better. It's like
Yeah.
you get a milder cigar or even a really dark, rich, chocolatey cigar, and you do a finished bourbon, but you're getting those fruit notes with the chocolate or fruit notes with the light creaminess. And the opposites actually complement each other and pull something new out of each one of them, which is nice too. So that's why we love to do these pairings, because I think it just opens your eyes to what really the enjoyment can be. Whether you just normally love this or you just normally love this,
Now
coming together, it just pulls more
Marinates.
flavor, more
Yeah.
enjoyment.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
well, cool, man.
Yep. Well, I want to thank you two for teaching me bourbons, and now I get to enjoy them more. I want to thank Ho-Chi for some good tobacco.
Yes,
and
thanks,
some
Ho-Chi.
good cigars.
Yep.
I want to thank my new head of sales, Ken Mansfield, for putting more boots on the ground and allowing more people to share this brand and know that we've got a lot to bring to the table.
Yeah.
And there's more to come. I hope that within a couple of years, a lot more people know La Galera, like you guys.
Yeah.
I came in here and that was your first tasting of it. So thank you for coming aboard and being
Always.
business partners. But I want to thank
I mean,
the
seriously,
managing staff for
your
allowing more of that to happen.
Yes.
your cigars speak for themselves.
Well, thank you.
And I
they're
really
fantastic.
feel like there are a few brands, and I'll call out just the two of them. You guys and Aladino, I think, are going to be the ones that are going to be in the next year or two are going to be the ones people are talking about.
Yep, and I
because
hope
it's
so.
not ones that have been pressed out and just forced down people's throat.
Correct.
It's grown gradually.
Yes.
and once people
Organically.
exactly. Yes.
Yep.
And I think that's the way to grow a brand to last the longevity of it.
Correct,
So
yeah.
I
Yep.
think you guys are doing a great job.
Brand
man. Well,
integrity.
where
Thank
can-
you.
Thank you. And where
Appreciate
can people follow you anywhere on social media?
Go to our website, lagalera.com.
Okay.
We are on Instagram. We've got great posts. We've got a guy in the Dominican, Osvaldo. Amazing talent. But if you guys ever get to meet him, like at the show, just a ball of energy, and you will his laugh is so contagious.
Oh, that's
you
awesome.
could be in a crappy mood, and Osvaldo will say some stuff and start laughing, and all of a sudden you're instantly in a good mood.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Good deal.
there'll be more to come. We want to get more social media centric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll see our advertisements in some of the magazines and so on.
Yeah. I've noticed that. Yeah.
But what I love is what you guys were talking about. Once you brought this brand in, you had to recommend it once or twice, and the cigar speaks for itself.
It
And
does.
all I ask is that it gets into their rotation. I don't want you to just smoke all La Galera.
Right.
I mean, it'd be nice, but I mean, realistically, I don't want that. I
Yeah.
want to be in your rotation and grow with us as we grow.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it becomes a bright point of your
Yes.
day for
Yeah,
others. Yeah.
absolutely.
Well,
So you can find me on Instagram at the Whiskey Pastor.
and I'm on Instagram at Final Third Cigar. If you're watching this, obviously we're on YouTube. We're on all the podcast platforms, so check
Yeah.
us out. Give us
Yeah.
a like and follow, and
An honest 5-star review.
Honest
Yeah.
5-star review. That's the best.
And don't be a fool. If you're in this area, come check these guys out.
Thank you.
Because
Thank
it's
you.
going to be an experience. You're not just going to come here and have a drink and a smoke. You're going to have an experience. And thank you, because it's not like it's easy. There's a lot of effort that goes into that. So keep up the hard work.
Well, thank you.
Because people are going to grow because of that.
Well, we
You know?
appreciate you, buddy.
Yep.
Well, thanks again for
Appreciate
coming
you.
Yeah,
on.
thank you.
Thank you,
And
Brad.
Yes, thank
Something
you.
else coming up the rest of this month, all the way through the end of May. We're still going to be doing the extension of this event, where
Yes.
if you come in here and you buy any La Galera cigars, you're going to get a raffle ticket, and he's going to be giving away some great prizes, some good lighters, cutters, ashtrays, some swag, stuff like that. So if you're in here and you want to try it, if you've never tried it, or if you have tried it, come in here and buy it. You're going to get a ticket. You're going to get a chance to win some great stuff. So again, thanks a lot, guys, and we will see you next week.
Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.